Well, if you were looking at my Twitter account about 1 o'clock this morning, I posted video of more violence in downtown Seattle last night as people were just smashing business windows. People were squaring off in the streets. Some cops eventually rolled up, and they've been completely neutered by all of this. And downtown Seattle is going to turn into a ghost town. Some great businesses have already made the decision. Joey Rodolfo, he's a clothing designer, co-founder of Buki Clothing, which has been in business for almost 40 years in Seattle. And he's out of here. And he joins me here on the Dori Monson Show. Joey, good to talk to you.
Hi, Dori. Nice to talk to you as well.
So walk me through this, Joey. A guy who's been in business in Seattle for nearly 40 years, and you make the decision to move your company to Arizona. Tell me why.
Well, let me just start, Dori. Yes, Seattle has been very good to me over the past 38, 40 years. I started with Union-Based Sportswear back in 1984, built a company that we were very fortunate to take public, and that's Cutter & Buck. We were able to take that company public in 1995 with great success, and then started another company at that time. I was also able to launch Callaway Golf worldwide, and then I was asked by one of my best friends to come and join him at Tommy Bahama in 2005, and we had an incredible run with Tommy Bahama, and very few people actually knew that Tommy Bahama was actually headquartered in Seattle.
Seattle company,
Seattle
that's right.
Seattle has been good, and the reason that I think that's important is because up until and I'm not going to blame it on COVID. Up until May, when the riots hit downtown Seattle, just prior to that, I had a conversation with Mayor Durkan at a local restaurant in Seattle, and I got up. I saw she was having dinner there with her sister. I got up and went and talked to her. I said, "Listen, how do we get Seattle cleaned up, Jenny?" I said, there's a stabbing that just happened down the street at Nordstrom. The shooting just happened. All of 4th Avenue closed. How do we get Seattle to become a vibrant place for people to come and shop and do the things that people love to do in a big city like ours? And she says, "Joey, geez, you sound passionate. Why don't I do this? Why don't I start a task force and have you join us on this task force? Because, yes, you're right. We got to do this." And I said, and Jenny, by the way, listen, why is it that the police are asked not to arrest people? Yeah. She goes, "I've never said that. I've never asked the police not to do that. In fact, Joey, if you see a policeman that doesn't oblige to, making arrests or whatever downtown, you take their badge number, you call me with it." I said, "Oh, really?" I said, "Well, first of all, it's not my job to go ahead and take badge numbers. I'm a merchant. I'm not, I'm not your, take a badge number, right?" So she says, "Listen, she says, I thank you so much for talking to me." And she says, "I'd like to buy her dinner." I said, "Jenny, all I want you to do is serve up some law and order in this town. If you can serve up law and order in this town, we're all going to be better for it." So that's the conversation that took place.
Well, I love that, and I do love and appreciate your passion. So you wanted to fight for this city. And I talk about this all the time on my show, Joey, because people ask me, if you're so frustrated with this city, why don't you leave? And the answer is, I was born here. My wife and I raised our 3 girls here. I love this city. I hate its politics, and I want to be part of the solution. It sounds like you wanted to be part of the solution, and yet you finally made the decision to get the heck out of Dodge. Tell me why.
Well, first of all, when you have a city attorney like Pete Holmes that has, that folds like a cheap beach chair, on everything that comes through his office, he's got a revolving door, and takes these criminals and never prosecutes them, puts them back on the street. And guess what? Those criminals become our problem. They come in our store, they steal, they take stuff. So these criminals that are never prosecuted come back, and that's the problem. And so at what point does a merchant in Seattle continue to fight the fight and know that you've got laws on the book that this, and I hate to use the name buffoon, but I will in Pete Holmes' case because, the guy is spineless. He can't follow the laws on the book to arrest these people and keep them off our streets.
Yeah, and what baffles me, because our county prosecutor, Dan Satterberg, he's legalized all drugs in personal possession amounts, and these guys see the consequences of the decisions they're making, and yet they think they're still somehow on the right track. But you and I both know, Joey, because we've been walking these streets for enough years to see what's happened. You and I both know that it's never been worse in this city, and yet they claim to have some progressive vision and ideology of letting criminals go free and letting drug users not be charged. So let me ask you, as a merchant, what do you think about this proposal that's gaining traction in the Seattle City Council that would eliminate misdemeanor crimes, meaning that a drug addict could walk into any of your shops, grab an armload of clothes, walk out, and know that they would be free from any legal consequences for that?
Well, if you believe in the Second Amendment, guess what? And which I do, and that's why I'm in Arizona. If you believe in the Second Amendment, somebody comes into your store, and guess what? You legally arm yourself and you protect your property. That's where it's going to get to. It's going to get to, I know merchants that are armed, and honestly, you go ahead and let stuff like that happen, and you're going to see another side of Seattle that you haven't seen. You're going to see an uprising of violence that you've never seen before, because nobody's going to let people walk in and just steal stuff just because. People will protect themselves, people will arm themselves, and you're going to see a whole different side of Seattle. And an uprising in Seattle, I think, is what needs to happen to show that, we are not going to be sitting ducks because we have politicians that have these progressive thoughts and progressive ideas of how, a city is supposed to be managed. And so I will tell you that, being down in Arizona, Black Lives Matter and Antifa do not exist. And you know why they don't exist? It's because the Second Amendment protects all of us down here. And so I would love to see Black Lives Matter come in and challenge, our Second Amendment rights down here in Arizona. They just won't, because they know that it would be a battle. It would be a battle of epic proportion.
Well, I tell you what, if you have a chance, look at the video I put up on my Twitter account last night. But it was, either Black Bloc or Antifa, but it was a bunch of guys swinging umbrellas at each other, and one of them had a collapsible baton, and he's holding that up like he's going to club the other guy. And I was thinking, at some point, these guys are going to square off, not swinging umbrellas like they're in some 40s musical, but they're going to square off with guns, and we're going to have bloodshed on our streets. And I mean, as sure as you and I are talking right now, I can see what's going to come down sometime in the near to middle future in the city, and it's exactly what you're predicting, Joey.
That's what I'm predicting. Listen, my wife and I have a condo downtown, and I will tell you that we have talked to plenty of people that live in the neighborhood that are sick and tired of being sick and tired. And I can tell you, I mean, I just got back from Seattle. I walked over to get my haircut down on Denny from 6th. And, the urban camping, or Seattle's now turned into an urban camping ground. So that, somebody parks their tent in front of your business, and doesn't allow, customers to come in. That's a problem, right? And so we're at that point. We're at that boiling point right now, Dori. And I will tell you that I see from talking to people and understanding what is just happened and letting Pete Holmes, let these guys run wild. We're about at that, like you call it, it's the boiling point now.
Yep, it is. And is it a point of no return? Just in the few seconds we have left, do you think we're at a point of no return in Seattle?
Well, let me put it this way. It's a point of no return in the near future. And like you said, my belief right now is that our city is circling the drain, and it's going to take something dramatic to turn this thing around. Because, when you have Sawant, screaming for police protection. She wants VIP police protection because somebody threatened her. It's going to take something dramatic to change the course of Seattle, and that's so unfortunate to even think about where we are today.
No. Well, look, especially given your resume, you're a very successful business person, and you've contributed a lot. You've created a lot of jobs. You've paid a lot of taxes here in this city, and I can hear how disappointed you are with what the city has become, and I share your disappointment. But I really appreciate you coming on with me, Joey, because we need to hear more from people like you.
Thank you, Dori. I appreciate it.
All right, Joey, thanks so much. Joey Rodolfo, who after 38 years has moved his business down to Arizona because Seattle is circling the drain, as he put it. Love to hear your thoughts. You can text me at 98973. That's 98973, and we do have lots more straight ahead here on the Dori Monson Show.